Recognizing the game. There comes a moment in life when everything begins to crack, not from sleep, but from awakening. You wake up, not from a long slumber, but from a life that has been deceiving you for years. You realize that the game you've been playing, the pursuit of success, recognition, and fulfillment, has always been stacked against you. The rules you've been following weren't designed to help you rise. They were made to maintain the status quo, to keep people in line, to prevent disruption. But here's the secret. The moment you recognize these rules for what they are, you gain the power to change them. What if I told you that not only can you stop playing by someone else's rules, but you can completely flip the game in your favor? That the very systems that seem to hold you back can become stepping stones towards success? Today, we'll break this down, and by the end, you will have a clear understanding of how to reshape reality to work for you, not against you. The final revelation, one of the most powerful insights of all, will fundamentally shift the way you approach every challenge in life. But first, let's uncover the illusion of the fixed game. We are conditioned to believe that life operates within rigid structures. We are told to follow the path society has set. Go to school, get a degree, find a job, work tirelessly, retire quietly. The expectation is that success comes from obedience, from fitting in, from doing what is expected. But here's what they don't tell you. Most of the people who truly win in life don't just follow the rules. They question them, adapt them, or break them entirely. Part 2. The art of strategic thinking. Once you've recognized that the game is not fixed, the next question becomes, how do you begin to win on your own terms? Not by brute force, not by fitting in harder, but by thinking differently. At the heart of flipping the game lies one indispensable skill: strategic thinking. The ability to look at the same board everyone else is looking at and see possibilities they don't. Most people play reactively, responding to whatever the world throws at them. But those who change the game entirely, they anticipate, they plan, they move with intention. Think of life as a giant chessboard. Most players learn the basic moves and stay within the boundaries of what's familiar. They guard their pieces. They wait. They react. But the true masters, they think several moves ahead. They see not just the current position, but the shape of things to come. Strategic thinking isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the most aware. It begins with a simple but powerful concept. Leverage is what allows you to do more with less. It's not about working harder. It's about applying pressure in the right place at the right time. The Greek mathematician Archimedes once said, "Give me a place to stand and a lever long enough, and I will move the world." That's not just a principle of physics, it's a philosophy for life. The key is finding your lever. What do you possess that others overlook? What strength, skill, perspective, or position can you use to multiply your impact? Take Oprah Winfrey. Her early life was shaped by poverty and trauma. By all conventional standards, she was never supposed to succeed. But she didn't follow a traditional path. She found her leverage in storytelling, her ability to connect with others on a deeply emotional level. She didn't just become a talk show host. She created an empire by turning her voice into a vehicle for transformation. She understood the power of narrative, and she used it. Part 3. The power of pattern recognition. Now that we understand leverage and strategic thinking, let's dive into another essential aspect of flipping the game: pattern recognition. Life isn't as random as it seems. It follows patterns in human behavior, in market shifts, and even in our own actions. But most people are too distracted or reactive to notice these patterns. They repeat the same mistakes, fall into the same traps, miss the same opportunities. The key to mastering the game lies in the ability to see these recurring patterns. Think of it like learning to recognize the rhythm of a song. At first, you might miss the beat, but once you catch on, it's much easier to dance. In life, those who succeed aren't just reacting to events, they're anticipating them. They see trends before they become obvious. The more you train yourself to recognize patterns, the more you can predict outcomes and position yourself for success. Take Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in history. His genius isn't based on complex formulas. It's based on his ability to recognize patterns in human behavior and market cycles. He can spot opportunities that others miss, not because he's smarter, but because he's learned to read the signals that most people overlook. Buffett doesn't just analyze numbers. He analyzes psychology, understanding that human emotions often drive market behavior. Pattern recognition isn't limited to business. It applies to every aspect of life. In your relationships, your career, and even your personal growth, recognizing patterns can be the difference between stagnation and progress. For example, if you notice that you keep falling into the same type of unfulfilling relationship, recognizing this pattern allows you to break the cycle and make better choices next time. The more you pay attention to patterns, the more you can anticipate the future, and with that foresight, you begin to shift the odds in your favor. Part 4. Embracing adaptability. Now that we've explored leverage and pattern recognition, let's talk about the final essential ingredient in flipping the game: adaptability. Life is full of surprises. No matter how much you plan or strategize, things will inevitably change. The key to thriving in this unpredictable world isn't rigidly sticking to one plan. It's the ability to adapt when circumstances shift. Charles Darwin didn't say that the strongest survive. He said, "It's not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change." This is the essence of adaptability. It's not about having all the answers or being the smartest person in the room. It's about being open to change and adjusting your strategy accordingly. Take Netflix, for example. They could have stayed in the DVD rental business, playing the game according to the old rules. But they saw the winds of change and embraced streaming long before it became mainstream. Instead of sticking to what worked in the past, they pivoted, and now they dominate the entertainment industry. Netflix didn't just survive the digital shift, they shaped it. Adaptability also means knowing when to pivot in your own life. Often, people resist change because it's uncomfortable. They fear that stepping away from the familiar will lead to failure. But the truth is, not adapting is far riskier than taking calculated risks. Whether it's in your career, your relationships, or your personal growth, being able to adjust when things aren't working is what separates the successful from the stagnant. Ask yourself, where in your life are you resisting change? Is there a situation where sticking to the same strategy is holding you back? The ability to adapt isn't a weakness, it's a strength, a crucial skill in the game of life. Part 5. Mastering your environment. So far, we've discussed leverage, pattern recognition, but there's one more crucial piece to the puzzle: mastering your environment. No matter how much leverage you have or how strategically you think, if you're in the wrong environment, your efforts will be limited. Your environment, the people you surround yourself with, and the situations you place yourself in play a huge role in shaping your mindset and your opportunities. Jim Rohn famously said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." This statement speaks volumes. The people you interact with, whether in your personal life or your professional world, have a massive impact on your growth and success. If you're surrounded by negativity, complacency, or people who don't challenge you to grow, it's like trying to grow a plant in toxic soil. But if you place yourself in an environment that nurtures growth, encourages innovation, and pushes you to be your best, you'll thrive. Look at Steve Jobs. One of his key strengths wasn't just his visionary thinking, it was the environment he created around himself. He surrounded himself with people who were as passionate and driven as he was. He fostered an environment of creativity, innovation, and bold thinking, which became the foundation of Apple's success. Take a moment to evaluate your environment. Are the people around you supporting your goals, challenging you to grow, and helping you move forward? Or are they pulling you back, keeping you stuck in old habits or outdated thinking? Mastering your environment means curating the people, spaces, and situations that align with your aspirations. Remember, the environment you choose will shape the person you become. If you want to flip the game in your favor, make sure your surroundings reflect the version of yourself you want to create. Part 6. Taking calculated risks. Now that we've discussed leveraging your strengths, recognizing patterns, adapting to change, and mastering your environment, it's time to talk about one of the most crucial aspects of flipping the game: taking calculated risks. Too many people shy away from risks because of fear. Fear of failure. Fear of the unknown. fear of losing what they already have. But here's the truth. Risk is not your enemy. It's your ally. And it's often the greatest reward that lies on the other side of the unknown. The difference between a reckless gamble and a strategic risk is preparation. Strategic risks are well thought out, carefully planned, and calculated based on the information you have and the insights you've gathered. This is where leveraging your previous lessons and observations comes into play. It's not about throwing caution to the wind, but about knowing when to act and when to take that leap. Take Elon Musk as an example. He's one of the most risk-taking entrepreneurs of our time. Musk poured his own fortune into ventures like Tesla and SpaceX when the odds of success were slim. But he didn't act blindly. He did his research, built his teams, and positioned himself for success. His calculated risks weren't about hoping for the best. They were about positioning himself to succeed despite the uncertainty. Now, think about your own life. What risks have you been avoiding? Is there a career change you've been too afraid to make? A project you've been putting off? A decision you've been hesitating to make? The key is to see these risks as opportunities. Opportunities for growth, innovation, and success. The truth is, the greatest rewards often come from the risks others are too afraid to take. Remember, calculated risks are not about taking wild chances, they're about stepping outside your comfort zone with a clear plan, knowing that the rewards far outweigh the risks. Part 7. Failure as Fuel. As we continue to explore the elements of flipping the game in your favor, let's talk about failure. Most people see failure as the ultimate obstacle, the thing to avoid at all costs. But here's a game-changing revelation. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's a necessary part of it. In fact, failure can be one of your greatest allies in the pursuit of success. The key is how you view it and how you use it. Think of failure as feedback. It's not a dead end. It's data. Every time you fail, you learn something valuable. You learn what doesn't work, what needs to be adjusted, and what needs to be improved. Every setback is an opportunity to fine-tune your approach and get one step closer to your ultimate goal. Take the story of J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a worldwide sensation, Rowling faced countless rejections from publishers. Imagine how easy it would have been for her to give up after the first, second, or 100th rejection. But she didn't. She took those failures as stepping stones, using each one as an opportunity to refine her manuscript and her approach. Without those rejections, we might never have known the wizarding world. Failure is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. The more you fail, the more you learn, and the more you improve. The key is to not let failure define you or stop you in your tracks. Instead, use it to propel yourself forward, learn from it, and keep going. The most successful people aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who know how to bounce back and keep pushing forward, stronger than before. Remember, failure isn't the end of the road. It's the fuel that drives your growth and success. Part 8. Controlling the narrative. Now that we've discussed failure as fuel, there's another key component to flipping the game: controlling the narrative. In life, you are not just a participant, you are also the storyteller. The way you present yourself, your experiences, and your journey can shape how others perceive you and, ultimately, how opportunities unfold. This concept is more powerful than you might think. The story you tell about yourself influences everything from the way people interact with you to the opportunities that come your way. You have the power to control your narrative. In fact, doing so is one of the most effective ways to shape your life and success. Take Steve Jobs as an example. Jobs didn't just sell a product. He sold a vision. He positioned Apple not just as a tech company, but as a movement for creativity, simplicity, and individuality. By controlling the narrative around Apple's brand and his own story, he didn't just attract customers, he attracted loyal followers who believed in the vision he was creating. What story are you telling about yourself? Are you positioning yourself as someone with value to offer, as someone who creates and innovates? Or are you letting doubts, fears, or the opinions of others define your story for you? The way you present your journey matters. It's your chance to define who you are and what you stand for. The power of narrative doesn't just apply to entrepreneurs or public figures, it applies to all of us. The way you frame your experiences, the way you talk about your challenges and successes, will influence how others see you. And more importantly, it will influence how you see yourself. So take a moment to reflect, what's the story you've been telling? Is it one that empowers you or one that holds you back? The story you tell about yourself can either limit your potential or unlock new possibilities. Part 9. Mastering your environment. The last but certainly not least piece of flipping the game in your favor is mastering your environment. You can have all the leverage, strategic thinking, and resilience in the world, but if your environment isn't conducive to growth, your efforts will be limited. Environment shapes who you become. It influences your mindset, your behavior, and your ability to achieve success. Jim Rohn once said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." This is not just a catchy phrase, it's a fundamental truth. The people you surround yourself with will either lift you up or drag you down. If you're constantly around negativity, doubt, or complacency, it will be nearly impossible to move forward. But if you surround yourself with people who challenge you, who push you to grow, and who inspire you to do better, your potential exponentially. This is true in both your personal and professional life. Take Steve Jobs again as an example. He didn't just build a successful company, he built a culture, an environment that fostered creativity, innovation, and excellence. He surrounded himself with people who shared his vision and were equally passionate about bringing that vision to life. Apple's success wasn't just about the product, it was about the environment Jobs created around it. Ask yourself, is your current environment helping you flip the game, or is it holding you back? Are the people in your life supporting your goals, encouraging your growth, and helping you become the best version of yourself? If not, it might be time to make a change. Mastering your environment means curating the spaces and relationships that align with your ambitions. The right environment can amplify your efforts, inspire new ideas, and push you to reach heights you never thought possible. So take control of your surroundings, because when you do, you empower yourself to achieve the extraordinary. Part 10. Defining success on your own terms. Now that we've explored the key elements to flipping the game: leverage, strategic thinking, pattern recognition, adaptability, failure as fuel, controlling your narrative, and mastering your environment, the most important question remains: what does success mean to you? Society often defines success by external standards, wealth, status, approval. But true success is not about these fleeting markers. It's about living in alignment with your authentic self, pursuing what brings you joy, fulfillment, and purpose. Success is not a one-size-fits-all destination. It's a journey that reflects your unique values and desires. Take a moment and ask yourself, what does a truly successful life look like for you? Is it about financial freedom? Creating meaningful relationships? Making a difference in the world? The answer isn't the same for everyone, and that's what makes your journey unique. When you stop measuring success by other standards and start creating your own path, you unlock a deeper, more sustainable form of fulfillment. Success becomes an internal pursuit, not one dictated by outside expectations. It becomes about crafting a life that resonates with who you truly are, not who society expects you to be. So, here's the final question. Will you continue playing the game by someone else's rules, or will you take charge and create your own? The power to define success is in your hands. It's time to stop following the script that's been handed to you and start writing your own story. Bottom of form.